Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SmarkTank Revolution, where we always kick out at 2. I am your returning solo host, the all-knowing, all-seeing, today, the spiritual avatar of one Paul Heyman, who will not be present in Cardiff, Wales for our tribal chief, Joey Business. Now, this was an interesting one. This pay-per-view felt a hell of a lot different than any other offering in quite a while. This was built up months in advance. You knew Drew McIntyre was the guy going in. You knew that it was going to be, a big fight feel. You just knew he was going to be the hometown boy and whatnot. So, like other offerings that usually do something over the across the globe, you figure it's built on one match. And for all intents and purposes, this pay-per-view was built up on one match. However, I've got to say, the rest of the card delivered abundantly. So this is more retrospective than introspective, and I am not joined by Mr. Wonderful, all wonderful Donnie Wonderful, aka Big Time Donnie, but I will be joining him again soon, and hopefully maybe as soon as tomorrow. With that being said, you will have to put up with my long-windedness, but that's okay. Who doesn't like the sound of my own voice? I certainly do, and your opinion's irrelevant. So this was a rhetorical question. Anyways, let's just continue. So match number 1, we opened up in Cardiff with a very interesting choice. It was a six-person, it depends on how you want to look at it, 6-woman tag team action with Bianca Belair, our resident WWE Women's Raw champion, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka versus Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky in their new stable Control. And this was a treat because they've been building this since SummerSlam. Unlike Donnie and I, who have the banter back and forth. Now, we all know I could talk for hours, but quite frankly, I have other things to do. So I am going to be short and succinct as much as possible on some of these. So that works for me. But let's just continue on with this. So the match, it's an opener. You figure it's a safe bet. You open up with a lot of well-known fresh faces, a hot angle, and see what you get. Well, this was anything but an opener. As a matter of fact, this shouldn't even been referred to as an opener because this was fantastic. I had a hard time. I had to introspectively go back and change my ranking twice because first I thought I ranked it too high, then I ranked it lower, and then I ranked it even higher. This was so great. These women found a way to make a 6-person tag team match extremely interesting. I know with AEW, you get the trios title and you're going to get a lot of that kind of stuff. But WWE, I'm used to the old days of Monday Night Raw. We don't know what to do with these guys. They're in an angle together. Just throw the shit together and just throw them in, make a main event of Raw. I mean, how many times during the Attitude Era do we see 6-man tags? So many times that they became diluted and watered down to the point where it was just like, oh man, this again? Not this. This was fabulous. And we all know Bianca Belair is easily the strongest woman in WWE and one of the most gifted athletes I've ever seen, and so damn likable. She's just wonderful to watch. She is so fluid and so good at her craft at her young age that she's just going to progress. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. Then you've got Alexa Bliss in there, who is probably one of the best actresses in the WWE. Because let's face it, acting is where the women don't shine in this sport, especially in WWE. They come off very wooden. Sometimes it's tough. For every Becky, Charlotte, Bianca, and who else am I trying to think of? Sasha, you get a Ronda, who is one of the best athletes in the world, but wooden as a horse. Shayna, and then you get numerous others. So this was interesting. I've been a big fan of Dakota Kai since NXT, and I always felt she's had massive potential. She's had so many good matches. She's an absolute workhorse, and for her size, she's very deceptive because you felt like whenever she paired with Bianca Belair, Bianca was in peril. Even though she gives up so much size to her, it's almost like, she's a scrapper. So, no. Bayley, of course, is considered the veteran in this case, and it's great to have a stable around her because Bayley has already been to the top of the mountain. She's already had an extremely long SmackDown Women's reign as champion. She's already been a great heel, and she was getting kind of stale, and it was like, what do you do with her? Do you bring her back and throw her in the thick of the title? Well, of course you do. But what do you do to keep it interesting? Let's give her some newbies to work with. It's kind of like she's the Randy Orton in this situation to Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes. And it works brilliantly. Io Sky's got all the talent. She's a high flyer. She's really crisp in the ring. She could use some character work. But none of these girls, or women, excuse me, none of these women at any point came off sloppy or missing their mark. Nothing. They were just fabulous. And there was so many innovative spots. You know, they found new ways to disable Bianca. There was a lot of good near falls. Fantastic three-person tag team action as far as the team working cohesively on Control's side. They maintained control through the whole match, and I loved the finish because Bianca ate the pin. It wasn't anybody else. It wasn't Alexa or Asuka. That's the easy way out. You had a triple threat tag team sequence on Bianca that disabled her and took her off her game, and Bayley was the one who was able to get the cover. And it just worked so well. It keeps Bayley fresh. It keeps you reminding that she is a threat, even if it's just a cerebral one. And it was just a great thing to watch. An extremely hot opener from in front of an extremely hot crowd in Cardiff, Wales. I wish all the pay-per-views could sound like this. Those people sounded like they were sitting on thumbtacks. It was just wonderful. And yeah, so what did I rate this match? Well, originally it was a 3, and then I had to put it down to a 2.5, but I finally settled on a 2.75 count. Yes, I know that's a new ranking, not quite a 3 count, but it is as close as a hair as you can get. And I feel justified on this. So and then we'll be on to our next match.